It is the moment that you've all been waiting for, or at least I know I have been. Tonight, we are going to explore the careers of some glamorous Kappas who have graced the stage and screen. Now, this won't be a superficial recitation of their roles. The body of work in tonight's program illustrates that Kappas have not only portrayed strong women on screen, but they have lived lives of integrity in private as well. Before we begin, I want to explain the criteria I used to compile this list of performers featured in the program. These women are either retired from acting or have passed away. So, no, we won't be covering Sophia Bush, Meghan Markle, or Ashley Judd. Maybe we'll save working entertainers for a future program.
So let's set the stage. Kappas have been involved in the craft of storytelling long before the establishment of Hollywood. For example, Laura Dainty Pelham Franklin traveled the Chautauqua circuit and gave dramatic readings before turning to directing theater. She is best remembered for directing the Hull House Players for over 20 years. Her work has been considered a forerunner to the Little Theater movement. Pelham made the somewhat controversial decision to focus on melodrama for the Hull House Players repertoire, as the actors were most familiar with that genre. She also preferred plays imbued with social reform message that aligned with the mission of the Hull House. One drawback of community theater was its limited reach. The birth of the film industry, and to a greater extent the television industry, widened actors' sphere of influence.
Several of our actors were discovered due to their singing ability. Jane Froman, Missouri, made several films in the 1930s that capitalized on her voice. She studied music at the Cincinnati Conservatory of Music. Stars Over Broadway from 1935 and Radio City Revels 1938 all involve romantic entanglements and comedy. They were typical of the kind of spectacles that were popular among audiences seeking an escape during the Great Depression. Screwball comedies such as Second Honeymoon and Second Honeymoon from 1937, starring Tyrone Power and Marjorie Weaver from Delta Chapter, were also hits at the box office. During World War II, Froman joined the USO and sustained serious injuries when her plane, the Yankee Clipper, crashed in 1943. With A Song in My Heart, starring Susan Hayward as Jane Froman, depicts the story of her comeback. Not only did Jane serve as the film's technical advisor, but she also dubbed Hayward's vocals, which I'm going to play a clip just so you can hear her voice. And that's a clip from With a Song in My Heart. Okay. Again, those are Jane Froman's vocals. She went on to appear as a vocalist on various radio programs in the 1940s and 1950s, and she hosted her own television program from 1952 to 1955.
Jane Froman wasn't the only Kappa to support our troops during World War II. Gene Bartle, UCLA, sold more Series E war bonds in 1943 than any other U.S. citizen. Over 80% of these were sold to women and totaled over $2 million. Bartle initially achieved fame as the first collegian to win the Miss America title in 1943. Her refusal to appear in a bathing suit during the competition also attracted attention. She has also been credited with urging pageant officials to provide scholarship money to each year's winner. A soprano, Bartle aspired to a career on Broadway. During the post-war era, she appeared in Clementina, in the 1946 revival of the operetta The Desert Song, and later in the musical of The I Sing in 1952. She guest starred on numerous television programs in the 1950s, including an episode of The Thin Man titled Ship Shakedown.
And I have a clip of that too. She just appears briefly in the first few seconds. So there she is, wearing the necklace. So that's it. That's it.
Sometimes in a particular role prompted actors to reevaluate their careers. Nancy Olson, UCLA, had an experience after filming Sunset Boulevard. Although critics gave her favorable reviews, she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Olson later stated that the film's depiction of actors as commodities led to an epiphany. She ultimately wanted a life away from Hollywood. She made a few films in the 1960s, notably for Walt Disney. She appeared as the maid Nancy Furman in Pollyanna and as Betsy Carlisle in The Absent-Minded Professor. For the most part, however, she concentrated on raising her two daughters with her first husband, the Broadway lyricist Alan J. Lerner. Although she was not actively working in her profession, she still helped make theater history. At the time, Lerner was composing the lyrics for My Fair Lady, the musical adaptation of Bernard Shaw's play Pygmalion. Olson recalled in an interview that she helped inspire Professor Higgins' famous song, I've Grown Accustomed to Her Face. Lerner notably dedicated the musical to her. They divorced in 1957 and she remarried in 1962. In 2022, she published her memoir, A Front Row Seat, an intimate look at Broadway, Hollywood, and the age of glamour.
Nancy Olson is one of the last surviving actors to have worked with some of the stars of Hollywood's golden age. One of those was Bette Davis, known for playing strong female characters. She was also the highest paid woman in the United States in 1942. Gena Rowlands, Wisconsin, greatly admired Bette Davis and longed to work with her. Rowlands got that opportunity when she co-starred with Davis in the made-for-television film Strangers, the story of a mother and daughter. Over the course of her career, Rowlands won 4 Emmys and 2 Golden Globe Awards. She was also nominated twice for an Academy Award for Best Actress. One of her Emmys was in recognition for her portrayal of First Lady Betty Ford in 1987. And we had that film is available on YouTube. I'm just going to play a clip right now.
Betty Ford checked out of the Long Beach Naval Regional Medical Center on May 5, 1978. In October of 1981, groundbreaking ceremonies signaled the beginning of construction for the Betty Ford Center in Rancho Mirage, California, at the Eisenhower Medical Center. Under Mrs. Ford's guidance and direction, it has become one of the leading treatment centers for drug and alcohol addiction in the country. Over 5,000 people have received treatment since the first patients were admitted in 1982.
Today, Rowlands might be best known for her role in the film The Notebook as the older version of Allie Calhoun. Ironically, Rowlands suffered from the same disease as her character and passed away from Alzheimer's disease in August 2024.
Many women featured in this program broke into television through soap operas. Genia Rollins, for example, played socialite Adrienne Van Linden on Peyton Place for a short time. Others made their careers as soap opera stars. Helen Wagner, Monmouth, became synonymous with her character matriarch Nancy Hughes on As the World Turns. Wagner played Hughes for more than 50 years and spoke the series' very first line, in fact. She also made broadcast history in 1963 when a CBS News bulletin interrupted one of her scenes to announce that President Kennedy had been shot. Although she spent much of her life in California, Wagner did not forget her alma mater in Illinois. In 1988, she steered a committee to build a state-of-the-art theater at Monmouth College. Wells Theater opened in 1990 and sits near the location of the now demolished Kappa Bridge.
Soap opera characters such as Nancy Hughes wielded soft power by influencing those around them. The second wave of feminism during the 1960s and 1970s resulted in new opportunities for women, and these changes were reflected on screen. Barbara Feldon, Carnegie Mellon, was cast as Agent 99 in the sitcom Get Smart. Agent 99 was an exceptional character for the era, for she was an intelligent, capable woman in a demanding career. Feldon noted, a lot of women said 99 was a role model for them because she was smart and always got the right answer. Felden's films include Fitzwilly, 1967, in which she starred opposite Dick Van Dyke, Smile from 1975, and No Deposit, No Return from 1976. In 2024, she published her memoir, Getting Smarter.
The sobering reality of rising crime rates during the 1970s provided material for a number of made-for-television films. Joanne Flug Rollins co-starred in The Night Strangler, 1973, the sequel to The Night Stalker, released the previous year. These films were precursors to the short-lived television series Kodak, The Night Stalker, which ran from 1974 to 1975. And here's some trivia for all of you sci-fi fans. Screenwriter Chris Charter has attributed Colcock's influence to the creation of his franchise, The X-Files.
These actors' repertoires largely comprised playing women with good reputations. Yet some performers enjoy playing characters who possess a more dubious nature. Like Barbara Felden, Gail Honeycutt, TCU, also appeared in Get Smart, but as a KAOS or chaos agent. She later played a femme fatale in the 1967 thriller PJ, starring George Peppard. Today, she is better remembered for her work in Great Britain as she relocated to England following her marriage to David Hemmings in the 1970s. Although she appeared in numerous television miniseries, including as Tsarina Alexandra in The Fall of Eagles, I will always think of her as Irena Adler, the only woman to outwit Sherlock Holmes. Honeycutt accepted the role as the clever American contralto for Granada Studios' critically acclaimed adaptation of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes from 1984, starring Jeremy Brett and David Burke. And this is how Dr. Watson characterized Irena Adler.
And that was how a great scandal threatened the kingdom of Bohemia, and how the best plans of Mr. Sherlock Holmes were beaten by a woman's wit. He used to sneer much at the cleverness of women, but I have not heard him do it of late. And when he speaks of Irena Adler, or when he refers to that woman, it is always under the honorable title of the woman.
Honeycutt briefly returned to American television when she portrayed Vanessa Beaumont on Dallas from 1989 to 1991. According to her obituary, she was most proud of her performance in the two-hander, The Life and Loves of Edith Wharton, which debuted at the Hampstead Theater in 1995. Honeycutt had developed a keen interest in the writer who, like herself, was an American expatriate. Gail Honeycutt passed away in 2023. Before we conclude the program, I do want to mention one more film because it is about a Kappa. You might think of this as a bit of extra trivia as a Kappa not appearing in this film. The Girl in White from 1952 is a biopic about Dr. Emily Dunning Barringer, Cornell. June Allison stars as Dr. Dunning. June Allison, of course, was not a Kappa, but there is GLO representation in the film. And I'm so sorry that Carrie could not attend the program tonight. But Mildred Dunnock, who's pictured there in the upper right corner, was a member of Alpha Phi. She played Dr. Marie Yeomans, who I believe is based on Dr. Mary Putnam Jacoby, one of Dr. Dunning's real-life mentors. And it all comes back to Kappa in the end because Dr. Jacoby's daughter, Marjorie, initiated as a Kappa at Barnard. So that concludes our program. Let me stop sharing my screen.
Our next program, Kappa Presidents, the third class, will be on April 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. Pacific Time. In the meantime, if you can find out more about all the Kappas mentioned tonight by visiting the digital archive or accessing Kappapedia and reading the fall 2020 issue of The Key.
And we're happy to take questions now.
Well, thank you all for being here this evening. And again, we record these so you can share them with your friends. and other Kappas, and when you clicked on the link. So again, thank you all for being here this evening. Take care. Have a great week.